Hey guys, what's up? So, a little update on the videos that I'm going to be making. I was doing a lot of thinking and I decided that the playbook highlight and the playbook breakdown videos were probably way too long for a lot of people's liking. And I figured that a lot of people would see the length of the video and kind of be put off by it and not really want to watch a 45-minute video on maybe a playbook that they don't even run. So what I decided would be a better idea was I'm just going to go through the playbooks. I'm still going to go through every playbook, but now I'm just going to find one unique formation that I like out of each playbook and try to give you guys a nice little mini scheme out of it, so that maybe if you run a different playbook but it has the same formation, you can add that in. If you run a custom, you can add it into your custom playbook if you like it, or if you happen to run the playbook from if you happen to run the playbook that the formation's from, you can go ahead and add it in if you don't already run it. So we left off last time I did Baltimore, so this time we're going to go with the Buffalo Bills playbook. And the formation that I'm going to be breaking down is the ace close formation, and it's about a 5-play mini scheme, which is actually perfect for if you like to set your custom audibles, so that you can set 4 of the plays as your formation audibles and then come out in the 5th play that's not an audible, so you have all 5 plays available to you at the line of scrimmage. That's the most optimal way to do it. If you don't run a custom, if you don't like running customs, or if you play MUT so you can't, then it's still a very, very good scheme in my opinion. Just kind of less effective because you don't have as many options at the line of scrimmage as you would otherwise. So the base play that I'm going to break down first is the Y play, PA crosses. So we're going to go ahead and run that against a random defense. And so the first thing I want to point out is the double crossing routes going across the middle of the field. Both will beat man-to-man pretty much every time in my experience. And they also do a good job of crossing over the middle and finding holes against zones. Now the other thing that caught my eye on this play is the double delay flat routes from the running back off the play action, which that flat route is very, very good. And then you have a backside flat route by the left tight end, Chris Gregg, going out after a block and release. And the right tight end, Scott Chandler, is currently just on a blocking assignment. So what I like to do, I like to fade him. It kind of clears out the zones for Robert Woods' crossing route over the middle of the field. Once he gets past the middle of the hash marks, Scott Chandler will take the deep safeties with him, so you don't have to worry about them coming up and jumping the Robert Woods route if you decide to throw it. So what ends up happening is you get a nice flood on the right side of the field with the fade by Chandler, the crossing route by Woods, and the flat by Spiller, and then you've got backside a crossing route by Watkins and a backside flat route by Gregg. So your first read is always going to be the crossing routes. If you see one that's open, just go ahead and throw it. And then I usually don't really look at Scott Chandler much. He's usually just more of a clear out than anything. If he's like blatantly wide open, you could throw it. And then for check downs, you have both flat routes. So go ahead and run it a few times for you guys. Try to walk you through my reads here. So right there, I saw the flat was wide open. So I just went ahead and checked it down to CJ Spiller. And that's what happens a lot of times I find with that flat route. Whoever's assigned to the flat will kind of drop back to deal with Robert Woods' route a lot of times. They'll anticipate it. And so when they're dropping back and then Spiller releases into the flat, there's nobody usually within like 10 yards of him. So I'll go ahead and run it again for you guys. Right there, it was against man-to-man. I like hitting the backside crossing route by Sammy Watkins or whoever your right receiver is in this formation, because a lot of the times there will be a lot less people over there since you've got Woods, Chandler, and Spiller all to the right of the screen, and the only other receiver you have on the left is Gregg, and sometimes he hasn't even released on his route yet, so there will literally be nobody over there if it's man-to-man. It'll just be Sammy and his man, maybe a deep safety if it's 2-man under, but usually there's a lot of running room. And run it again here. And right there, I had a pass lead up so that it got behind the hook zones for Robert Woods. I'll go ahead and show you guys that in an instant replay. What happens, go play action. And you can either, I wouldn't cancel the play action, I wouldn't block CJ Spiller because I think that flat route's pretty essential to the play, but you can end the play action early by pressing right trigger and CJ Spiller will still release on his route. So if you don't want to go through the entire motion, just press right trigger. Just right there, go through play action. And you kind of want to, I generally kind of step to the left and go back into the pocket because I don't want to roll out. A lot of times if you roll out, what will happen, that left defensive end that's working on the right tackle will block shed and start coming at you if you roll too far to the right. So I usually go back into the pocket. So you see they're in some type of cover 2 here. So I was waiting for Robert Woods to clear the linebackers. And that's what happened. In the right flat, you can see CJ Spiller's holding the flat defender. Robert Woods, if I would have had some more time, I could have waited and he could have crossed all the way to the right side of the field and I could have had an easy throw. But since the left defensive end, or the right defensive end rather, was bearing down on me, I kind of had to throw it quickly. So I just kind of pass-led it into the open space, up and to the right, so that it got above the linebacker so he couldn't make a play on it, and then to the right so that it went away from the safety. So yeah, that's the base play in this formation that I like to run. I like to establish that play. That's usually the first passing play I'll run out of this formation. I think it's a very, very good, well-rounded passing play. So I'll go ahead and look at the quick audibles here for if you don't set them. You've got stick, which stick's a fine short yardage passing play. It's not something I run a lot. You got the zone weak, which is a pretty good run. However, this formation also does have the 0-1 trap, which I would run over the zone weak, especially if you do custom audibles. I would have the 0-1 trap as an audible. Otherwise, the zone weak is a decent substitution for it if you don't want to come out in the 0-1 trap. Bench, which is another play that I like to run every now and then. It's probably the least effective passing play out of this formation, but it is a nice complement to the PA crosses since generally you hit the middle of the field a lot on that play, and this play attacks more the outside. So I'll go ahead and try to run it for you guys a couple times here. Right there, man-to-man, just look for the corner routes. Be careful if you have a receiver that doesn't have very good route running. The corner routes will get jumped at times. They're in goal line, so I'm just going to run the zone weak. But yeah, bench is pretty self-explanatory. Just kind of read the out route to the corner route. If nothing's open, try to check it down to the running back out the backfield. I literally make no adjustments. This is just every now and then to catch my opponent off guard and make him remember that he has to guard the sidelines. So right there was nobody out in the flat. Just hit the out route for 8 yards to Scott Chandler. Not a very big home run play. You're not going to get huge gains off that unless they bring like a man blitz and you're able to hit a corner out. But it is a pretty safe short yardage play since generally the out routes or the check down to CJ Spiller will be open. And the play action audible is the PAHB wheel, which I'm not that big of a fan of this play because that crossing route is kind of deceiving because he cuts very, very slowly, so he doesn't really beat man-to-man that well. A lot of times the man will stick with him across the field since he cuts so slowly. And I just think the P8 crosses play is better in pretty much every way, so I wouldn't really run that over the P8 crosses. So if you don't set your audibles, I would come out in the PA cross pretty much every time and say, okay, do I want to run this? If they don't have a lot of people in the box, you can check down to the zone weak, and then if they've been covering the middle of the field a lot, like running a lot of like cover 2 sync and stuff like that, putting hook zones, putting spies, then you can quick audible to bench to kind of pop them to the outside and make them remember that they have to guard the outside of the field as well. So the other plays out of the formation that I really like, if you're in a running mood, something that I like to do, I like to establish the run out of this formation at the beginning of the game. So this formation also has the HB stretch, and as I mentioned earlier, the 0-1 trap. So if you set your audibles, ideally you'd have the stretch and the trap both as quick audibles so that you can come out in a play, assess the defense. If they have outside leverage, run the 0-1 trap. If they have a lot of guys in the middle, you can hit them with the HB stretch. So that's pretty much your running game. Otherwise, if you don't set your audibles, I would come out in the HB stretch, and so that you already have the zone weak. So the zone weak's more of your run up the middle, HB stretch is your run to the outside. And the great thing about this formation is that it is symmetrical, so that you can flip the run play to either side and your opponent will never know. So you just kind of run it, try to get upfield. Right there they got a nice block shed, but CJ Spiller put out a stiff arm. This play and the 0-1 trap together are super tough to stop. You can pretty much completely keep your opponent off guard. You can run it outside, left, right, inside, left, right. And then with the play action, with the PA crosses play, which is actually the play action off of the stretch, so it looks just like the stretch. So that's a great compliment. And then along with bench and the last play that I'm going to go over here. And another thing I wanted to point out is, since this formation is completely symmetrical, obviously you can flip the play to either side, but you can also motion your receivers around and try to get extra blockers. If you're playing someone who likes to base align a lot, and so what base aligning does, it pretty much sets their defenders, and they used to call it like freezing the defense, where they wouldn't follow motion players. So if someone likes to base align a lot, you'll be able to tell because their corners, see how the corners right now are kind of over Watkins and Woods? The corners will move all the way out to the outside, like a normal alignment against any formation. And so whenever you motion Watkins or Woods across, the corner will stay out there. So essentially he's running his own defender out of the play, because you have no intentions of going anywhere near that corner that's all the way out there by himself. And so you can go ahead and motion Robert Woods or Sammy Watkins across the formation and get an extra blocker. So that's something that's very effective as well. Right there, I kind of motioned him the wrong way, and they had good outside leverage, so the run didn't really go anywhere. But that's a very, very good run play to mix in with the zone weak and with the Owen trap. And now the last play, this is the play I would come out in if I set my custom audibles. My custom audibles, whenever I set them, I had the Owen trap, the stretch, the PA crosses, and bench, and then I would come out in mesh seam. And I pretty much wouldn't make any adjustments. It's just a very quick hitting play. Just look for one of the crossing routes, the shallow crossing routes over the middle. Look for the corner route by Chris Gregg if it's man-to-man and he's wide open. Then check down, you have CJ Spiller. This is just kind of a compliment to your run game. If they are bringing a lot of people up, you hit them with a quick pass over the middle of the field. It's a very effective play. The crossing routes beat man-to-man pretty much every time from my experience. It's just a very, very consistent play, and I like consistent plays because you know that they're going to work, and it's not very high risk, and it's just drag routes or shallow crossing routes are very effective this year, since a lot of times they'll be open and all you have to do is make one defender miss and it's a huge gain. So just read the defense right there, 4 or 5 yards. Another play that's you're not really going to bust for a big gain unless they go like all out blitz or something. Right there, I kind of got lucky and squeezed it in. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was able to help you guys out. I hope if you run a playbook that has ace close, you're able to add this in. If you run a custom, maybe you can add this in. If you like what you saw, if you run the Bills playbook, you can, if you don't already run this formation, you can add it in. The reason I decided to break down this formation is I've seen ace close in a couple other playbooks, but this is only the second playbook that I've seen that has the 0-1 trap, which the 0-1 trap I didn't even run, but that's the best run from this formation in my opinion. And if you set your custom audibles, it's really, really hell to stop when mixed in with the stretch and the 3 passing plays. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was able to help you out. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.